Hey, what's up, champions? Welcome to Growth Mode. I'm your host, Donnie Bovine, and I've spent over 20 years in the straight commission sales game. I broke a lot of shit and sold millions of dollars along the way, figuring out how to grow a business and how to learn how to sell better. Hanging out with me is my buddy Kevin Snow, a sales automation genius and tactician of the sales process. Man, this dude has spent years in the tech sales game before partnering up with me to change how the world does business development. Growth Mode is real world tips, funny anecdotes, and a whole lot of no bullshit tactics you can apply right now to your business. Let's go big and loud, have some fucking fun. Kevin, what are we talking? Yeah, I can't even talk. Greg, what are we fucking talking about today?
Hey, Donnie. So we're going to have a really awesome conversation today because we're going to talk about how people like me, introverts, can outsell people like you, extroverts, any day of the week.
Bullshit. So what we're really going to talk about is how bad introverts are at sales and how they can never keep up with an extrovert as we go through all this. So this should be funny. So a little bit about Kevin and I is I'm a pretty extroverted guy. I've always been pretty outgoing. Some people said I've never met a stranger. And, I'll be honest, running the business, I have become more of a hermit and don't people as much as I used to. But man, back in the day, I was freaking everywhere, known everywhere, and freaking loved just meeting and being around people. Kevin, on the other hand, is 100% the opposite of that. Doesn't mean he doesn't like people, doesn't mean he doesn't like being around people, but this motherfucker's strengths are not necessarily walking up and just meeting somebody new. It's much more tactical for him along the way. And I'm going to bust his chops all the way through about how shitty of a salesperson the introverts are, and how they have no clue how to freaking sell. And he's going to try and convince me otherwise. But top secret, guys, I'm full of shit. Introverts can sell their ass off, but don't tell Kevin that.
So I like to clear the air a little bit. There's this perception that if you're an introvert, that you like hate people and you can't like speak to people and you are the person who will always sit in the corner.
Oh, that pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, that's so not how it is. Introvert and extrovert, it's really about how you recharge your batteries and where you get your energy from. People like you, extroverts, love being in the middle of chaos and noise and lots of people.
Let me reframe that. It's not the middle of chaos. You want to know how an introvert looks at what an extrovert does? They call it chaos. It's normal. It's just we feed off of people, not chaos. But here's the thing. He's absolutely right. It is about how you manage the energy. But even as introverts, and I'm more of I think it's called an omnivert, which is kind of a combination of an extrovert and introvert.
And I'm technically a social introvert, so
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not. I as much as Donnie likes to describe me this way, I am not Sheldon.
No, he is not full Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory. But I mean, there's moments. If there is too much Donnie, he'll go more Sheldon on me. If I'm going too big and too loud in a meeting, sometimes he will, especially because I don't like following all the processes and systems. And I think that's really more the basis of all this. It's not about being an introvert and extrovert. I mean, it's good to know where you sit in that spectrum. Okay, it's good to know whether you're an extrovert. It's good to know whether you're an introvert. Most people are a combination of both, but it's more important to know who the fuck you're sitting across from
Yes.
and where they are and meeting them on their level. Like if I take my fucking high energy ass in, well, better way. Imagine Robin Williams or Kevin Hart trying to sell Sheldon or Spock from Star Trek. That conversation's never going to work well because, Kevin Hart, me, we're going to be too loud and gregarious if we don't tone down how we're hanging out with these weird, crazy, creepy, quiet people like Kevin. But I mean,
Yes.
so it's really more about understanding how you show up in the world and how you recharge your batteries so you can do it again. Um, but I would still go from zero to $100,000 in the fastest amount of time. An extrovert's going to do it faster.
So I'm not going to argue that point because an extrovert is going to ramp up way quicker. The reason is the introvert, the people like me, are going to be really process driven about how they do it.
Meticulous, boring.
Meticulous, they're not boring, effective, and they're because we're trying to learn all the stuff. That is a big thing with the introverts and your high C. If you're a disc follower, high C personalities, like we love detail and we want to know all the detail and we want to know the why. Whereas the extroverts just want to know, hey, it does this. And that's really what they need to know. If they don't even know that, they're still fine. They'll still go out and talk about it.
Well, and I know from a sales perspective, introverts can be very tough for a guy like me to teach because I'm very much that's just a fucking way it works. You just do it.
Go do it.
Right. And they're always like, but why that way? Why that question? And it drives me nuts. I'm like, don't question, just fucking do it because the thought process of they've got to understand how it works before they can do it is backwards thinking for me. For me, it's I don't want to know how it works. I want to be pointed in a direction so we can break it, and then I can learn from fucking it up. Where introverts tend to be more, let me understand it, so I can go at it very meticulously, and then figure it out as it breaks along the way. We're both accomplishing the same thing, just one's going to move a little bit faster. But in the scheme of things, I'll take the introvert, the extrovert from 0 to 100,000. But most times I'll take the fucking introvert to maintain a higher output level over the long-term frame. And I think for entrepreneurs and people who are launching their businesses, I think there's something to really be said to understand what your strengths are. Because being an entrepreneur is a fucking bitch. I mean, it is a lot of damn work building a business, doing sales and anything. So an extrovert has a tendency to probably ramp their business up a little bit faster than an introvert does. Doesn't mean it's easier. It just, if you understand that you're not as gregarious, willing to put yourself out there more, it may take a little bit longer. And the only reason I say that is I think one of the things we do on both sides of the track is beat the fuck out of ourselves mentally as we're trying to do anything. And I think it goes back to, it's really helpful to know where you're coming from so you can move forward with things.
So I'm interested in hearing how you're going to answer this question. What are the strengths of introverts in sales?
Nothing.
Lies. Absolute caca. That is a lie.
Here's some truth, and that sucks because now I've got to like brag about fucking introverts here.
Don't
So,
worry, I'll brag about extroverts here in a little bit.
So the truth of the thing that I like is I like the tenacity to play the long game with an introvert. With an introvert, especially, okay, so I'm coming at it from more of a sales management, president of a company kind of maneuver. If I know I've got an introvert on my team, I'm going to spend more time on teaching them how everything works and spend more time on helping them figure things out. And I'm going to have a hell of a lot more patience as they figure the systems out, because what they are magical about doing is, if there's not a system, they're going to build one. Just dive right in, because oftentimes I know what somebody's going to say after the first few words. I don't need the complete sentence. All right, I can just figure out what they're going to say. And introverts have got to finish the sentence. So if you want to have some fun and you're a guy like me, interrupt the sentence and then wait a half hour later. They're going to go is, well, what I was trying to say. So we'll flip it.
Right.
What do you like about what makes extroverts more badass? I mean, what do you like about extroverts?
All right. So, and I told you I do this, so this is totally fair. What I like about extroverts on a sales team, and as a sales manager, I manage both. I love that the sales, the extroverts, if I go tell them to just go do something and go make calls, go knock on doors, they're like, okay, and they do it. And they have no issue with knocking on a door and having that door slammed in their face. I love the fact that they have no problem asking doing closing questions at inappropriate times in sales meetings. Like, you're closing now, we just said hello, what the F?
Yeah. Well, I mean, why the fuck do we need the rest of the conversation?
Exactly.
They want to buy, shut the fuck up,
now.
take the money.
So I love that they're willing to ask for that close really easily, because that's not something that introverts do. We are much more, as you said, strategic and tactical about how we do it. We just don't bash our client over the head with the close, where your extroverts are willing to be more gregarious with their close. Since that seems to be the word of the day, I'm going to use it too.
Cool, I like it.
And they're much more outwardly about it. On the networking side, because we haven't really talked about how they network yet, it's a lot of bit in the sales piece. You can tell who the D's are, the introverts, or excuse me, the extroverts, your D's, your I's, your people who love being in the crowd really easily when you're in a networking opportunity. But I love watching it because it's fun seeing how they transition in their conversations so quickly.
Yeah, I think it's very fun. Oftentimes when I was networking, and this usually came into play if I found myself in a room where I already knew everybody, and there was nobody new I needed to meet, which happened when I was doing a lot of networking once upon a time. I would sit back and observe and grab a drink, watch the room, and you could just watch the different personalities freaking interact across the room. The D's are commanding, a presence in the room, just going off the disc model. And they've got their two or three people. The I's are getting drunk and running around like fucking banshees. Your C's are the best way I can describe it, intently focused on the conversation at hand, right? They're all in. And you can tell when a high C is trying to talk to an I, because the I, you can see them trying to get away from the conversation, and the C is
They're
like
doing
following.
Who else do I know?
And the C is like following them across the room because they're gonna finish this fucking story. Damn it!
I have something I'm trying to say. Well, and it's funny when you watch networking rooms, you can your S's and your C's, your more introverted personality types, they're going to be in the conversations where you're one-on-one, face-to-face talking.
Yeah.
Maybe a third person there, possibly, but you're not going to have them where they have like 4 or 5 people in a group and you're having a mass conversation. They're wanting to have that personal relationship, that really one-on-one time with people.
Yeah.
And that's another big thing with difference between the extroverts and introverts is the time spent on relationship building in either networking or a sales process. That's one of the reasons introverts, while they can do the outside sales, the hunter piece really well, they excel at account management positions.
100% agree with that.
And being able to build a relationship with an existing client and can keep that relationship and then upsell them, continue to add revenue. Your introvert is going to blow your extrovert out of the water.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And with all this said, guys, I mean, really, this whole episode, it comes down to one, knowing specifically who you are, knowing what your strengths are. Because oftentimes I think we move through the world and all we see is our weaknesses. We see what we fuck up and we see what we don't do well. And the truth of the matter is, if we flip the script and we focus specifically on what makes us a badass in a moment, what are the things we're really fucking good at, and we go in that direction. So if you're introverted, fucking double down on the processes, systems, step into that extrovert side of yourself to be able to get into better conversations and get those things started. If you're an extrovert, tone that shit down every once in a while, right? It's okay to let your hair down and go have a more relaxed conversation and quit making it about you all the time.
So I think we need to have another episode with extrovert versus introvert, but this one time really focus. I think we need to talk about how you sell to them.
Oh, we can do that. We can do that. We should do that for the whole disc process too.
Yeah, I think so, because it is really interesting. Because if certain industries have a target buyer that tends to be much more extrovert or much more introvert, depending on the type of industry. Technology tends to have a lot more of your S's and or a lot more of your C's, not as many of your S's. Your healthcare has a lot of S's because it's all nurturing. So, having your stereotypical extrovert salesperson going into your stereotypical introvert decision maker, that's, has the opportunity for things to go horribly wrong really quickly.
And now you guys can see what happens when an introvert gets off fucking one focused. I'm trying to flag his ass down so we can finish the episode, and he's gonna freaking finish his process.
I have things I want to say.
A beautiful example of the introvert extrovert, because I'm over here like, dude, we're trying to make these quick episodes. Shut up, let's roll.
So what I was trying to say was
right. So seriously, guys, we have a lot of fun doing these. If you guys get any sort of value out of it, we will absolutely be doubling down on some of these episodes to talk about the introvert extrovert sales. We'll talk about how to sell to the different disc personalities and different behaviors and things inside of that. But if you got value out of this, do me a favor, tell somebody else how to subscribe and hang out for the show. If you guys want to suggest particular episodes, we've got a ton planned coming up. Feel free to drop us a line on successchampionnetworking.com. Let us know what information you'd like us to cover. If you're part of the Success Champion family right now, you guys are already asking us a ton of fun questions. So it's going to be fun to continue to roll this stuff out. So tell one person about the show, guys. I truly appreciate you. Go big and loud and have some fucking fun, would you?